Pooh Shiesty came home, and the rap world thought the story was about to restart. Memphis had its star back. 1017 had one of its biggest names back. Gucci Mane had already survived almost every era of trap music. The beefs, the indictments, the artists falling out, the industry politics. But then came one of the craziest allegations in modern rap. Federal prosecutors say this wasn't just a disagreement over a record deal. They say Pooh Shiesty arranged a business meeting in Dallas, brought multiple people with him, and when Gucci Mane and two other music industry professionals walked into that studio, the meeting turned into an armed takeover, a contract dispute, a Draco-style AK pistol, a forced signature, jewelry taken, a victim allegedly choked near unconsciousness, and a judge later saying the weight of the evidence was strong. This is the alleged 1017 robbery kidnapping case. This is Gucci Mane versus Pooh Shiesty. This is Crashed Out. To understand why this story is so wild, you gotta understand what Pooh Shiesty meant to 1017. Pooh wasn't just another artist on Gucci's label. He was one of the real breakout stars from the new 1017 era. When Back in Blood took off, Pooh had that rare street rap energy that felt authentic and commercial at the same time. The mask, the voice, the Memphis delivery, the big scar connection, the big 30 chemistry, it felt like 1017 had found a new generation. Gucci Mane has always been known for spotting street stars early. Young Thug, Waka Flocka, Chief Keef connections. Even when artists didn't stay loyal forever, Gucci's reputation was that he could find talent before the mainstream fully understood it. Pooh Shiesty looked like the next one. But by 2021 and 2022, legal trouble stopped the momentum. Pooh was sentenced in a prior federal firearms conspiracy case, and by the time he came home, fans were waiting to see if the buzz could come back. Then, federal prosecutors say that instead of restarting the music, everything went left. According to the Department of Justice, on January 10th, 3 music industry professionals traveled to Dallas for what they believed was a scheduled business meeting. The DOJ says the meeting was arranged by Lontrell Williams Jr., known as Pooh Shiesty, supposedly to talk about the terms of his recording contract with one of the victims. That victim is not named directly by prosecutors, but multiple reports say one victim is listed by the initials RD, described as the owner of 1017 Records, the label belonging to Gucci Mane, whose legal name is Radrick Delantic Davis. So from the outside, this looks like a label meeting. But according to federal prosecutors, once the 3 men were inside the studio, Pooh Shiesty and 8 co-conspirators allegedly carried out a coordinated, armed takeover. Several of those people had allegedly traveled from Memphis to Dallas. This is where the case turns from industry drama into federal kidnapping allegations. According to the affidavit reported by APNK-ERA, Pooh allegedly asked the 1017 label owner to speak privately in a recording room. Inside that room, prosecutors say Pooh produced contract termination paperwork. That's already a crazy detail, because this wasn't allegedly random street robbery. Prosecutors are saying the purpose was connected to a contract release. The allegation is that Pooh wanted out of the recording contract, and instead of lawyers, negotiations, or court motions, prosecutors say he tried to force the issue inside a studio. According to court documents reported by KERA, Pooh allegedly pulled out an AK-style weapon described as a Draco and forced Davis to sign a release from his recording contract at gunpoint. Prosecutors also allege Pooh stole Davis's wedding ring, earrings, watch, and cash. That's why this story hits different, because if the government's version is true, This wasn't just a bad business decision. This was taking a record label dispute and turning it into a federal life sentence level case. Big 30 is also part of the case. According to the DOJ, Big 30 allegedly barricaded the studio door with his body to stop the victims from escaping. KERA also reports the complaint alleges Big 30 recorded Davis verbally releasing Pooh from his contract. That detail matters because prosecutors are not just describing chaos. They're describing what they believe was a coordinated plan. Get the victim in the room, force the contract release, record proof, then rob the victims. Now the defense has pushed back on this. At a bond hearing, Pooh's former attorney, Bradford Cohen, questioned FBI Special Agent Pamela Hansen and pointed out that investigators did not have the alleged signed contract or the alleged video Big 30 supposedly recorded. That's important, because for a factual documentary, you can't just say the government has everything locked up. The government says the evidence is strong. The defense says key pieces are missing. That's the tension in the case. And this case wasn't only about Gucci. The DOJ says the remaining conspirators displayed firearms and robbed the other victims of Rolex watches, jewelry, cash, and other high-value items. One victim was allegedly choked to the point of near unconsciousness. Reports say the other victims are identified only as MM and BP in the affidavit. So the government's story is bigger than Pooh versus Gucci. It's an alleged group operation involving 9 defendants, 3 victims, weapons, stolen property, and movement across multiple states. Then the feds start laying out the evidence they say ties everybody together. And this is where the case gets serious. The DOJ says they have electronic monitoring data placing Pooh Shiesty at the location, which matters because he was still on home confinement from a prior firearms conspiracy conviction. They say they have cell phone records and license plate reader data showing coordinated travel from Memphis to Dallas. They say rental car records show Pooh's father rented a vehicle allegedly used by the group. They say they have surveillance footage from the studio, a nearby office supply store, and a hotel where several defendants stayed. They say fingerprints were recovered from the scene matching 2 defendants. They say social media posts showed what appeared to be stolen property after the offense. And they say Greyhound records confirmed multiple defendants traveled from Dallas to Memphis the day after. That's not internet gossip. That's the federal government laying out the roadmap of the case. But again, charges are not convictions. Pooh has pleaded not guilty and remains in federal custody while the case proceeds. One of the wildest parts of the case is the allegation involving Pooh Shiesty's father. The DOJ says Lontrell Williams Sr. allegedly helped plan and execute the kidnapping and also rented one of the vehicles used by the group. That adds another layer to the story, because prosecutors are not framing this like artists arguing inside a studio. They're framing it as a coordinated operation involving artists, family, and associates. At a hearing in Dallas, U.S. Magistrate Judge Renee Harris Tolliver ordered Pooh Shiesty to remain in custody until trial. According to AP reporting, the judge said, "I find that the weight of the evidence against you is strong," while also mentioning his criminal history and alleged violations connected to home confinement. That line is cold, because it tells you the court wasn't treating this like a normal celebrity misunderstanding. Then, Gucci Mane seemingly responded the way rappers usually do, through music. Reports say Gucci appeared to address the situation in a diss track toward Pooh, referencing pressure in the room, betrayal, and signing under duress. Right now, Pooh Shiesty has pleaded not guilty. He has not been convicted. But if prosecutors prove their case, this won't just be remembered as rap drama. It'll be remembered as one of the biggest crash outs in modern hip-hop history.